In the world of technology, the giants, they cast some seriously long shadows. But honestly, the most interesting stories, they're not always about the titans. They're about the challengers, those smart, kind of scrappy companies that are betting big to carve out their own space. And today, we're diving into the story of one of them. Right, this is the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? When your competitors are these household names with just massive resources, what's your move? I mean, do you try to compete on price, on service, or do you do something bolder and make a big bet on the future? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to break down the story of a company called Coforge. We'll look at where they've been, the very real challenges they're facing right now, and the huge, kind of risky bet they're making on artificial intelligence to, well, forge their future. Okay, first things first, let's be super clear. Coforge is not some scrappy little startup. They are a formidable player with a really serious track record, and it's all built on a foundation of consistent, pretty impressive growth. So what do they actually do? Well, Coforge is a global IT services firm, and they're one of the top 20 software exporters coming out of India. Now, they don't try to be everything to everyone. Nope. Instead, they focus on specific high-stakes industries. We're talking banking, insurance, travel, and they work with some major players. Think big names like British Airways and the financial giant ING Group. And you know what? They've been very, very good at it. Just look at this number. In fiscal year 22, Coforge had a landmark year. They rocketed their revenue up by 38%. That is the kind of growth that makes absolutely everyone in the industry sit up and pay attention. But what's really interesting here is that this wasn't just some recent flash in the pan. Not at all. This table, it shows their compounded sales growth is remarkably consistent. We're talking an average of 18% a year for a decade. And that's even accelerated to over 20% in the last 5 years. The big takeaway here is this. Coforge has a proven playbook for growth. And all that performance, well, it translates directly into financial stability. The credit rating agencies, the experts who scrutinize company finances for a living, they've definitely taken note. As this timeline shows, they've upgraded Coforge from a solid AA to even stronger AA+ rating. This tells you the company isn't just growing fast, it's growing on a really solid foundation. So Coforge is a strong, growing, stable company. Case closed, right? Not so fast. This is where the story gets, well, it gets complicated. Because despite all this success, Coforge is feeling pressure from just about every direction. And here's the twist. While the business has been absolutely firing on all cylinders, the market's reaction has been, well, the complete opposite. A negative 28% stock price compound annual growth rate over the last year. This tells us there's a huge disconnect. Investors are looking at the same strong company we just talked about, but they're seeing something that's making them nervous. And this is what's making them nervous? The competition. See, Coforge isn't operating in a vacuum. This chart really puts the scale of it all into perspective. They are up against behemoths like TCS and Infosys, companies with market caps 10 to 20 times larger. These are giants with way deeper pockets, huge sales teams, and massive brand recognition. And it's not just the giants either. The pressure also comes from companies their own size. In a direct head-to-head comparison with a close peer, Persistent Systems, Coforge gets edged out on over half of the key performance metrics, especially on the technical side. So the takeaway is pretty clear. Coforge is fighting a war on two fronts, against the titans above them and the fierce contenders right beside them. So how does a challenger respond when it's being squeezed from all sides? Well, this brings us to the very core of their strategy today. Coforge is making a massive, all-in bet on the one technology that promises to reshape pretty much every industry: artificial intelligence. And make no mistake, this is all about ambition. The CEO, Sudhir Singh, he's laid it out very clearly. This isn't just about survival, it's about accelerating growth and hitting that next huge milestone of $2 billion in revenue. Their AI strategy is the engine they believe is going to get them there. So what does this big AI power play actually look like? Well, they've broken it down into 3 core platforms. First, you've got Quasar AI, which is all about building and deploying new AI solutions for businesses. Second is ForgeX, which uses AI to modernize a company's older existing software. And third, there's EvolvesOps.ai, which is aimed at automating a company's entire IT department. It is a really comprehensive approach. Let's zoom in on the centerpiece of their whole strategy, Quasar AI. The easiest way to think about it is as their toolkit for enterprise AI. It's basically a platform designed to help their clients quickly build and deploy AI-powered applications that automate tasks and deliver smarter insights, and do it all at a massive scale. Now, what's really cool are the actual components inside Quasar AI. This isn't just one big block of code. It's a whole set of specific tools for real business problems. You've got RAG as a service, which lets an AI use a company's private data securely, which is huge for getting relevant answers. AgentSphere is basically an app store for AI agents that you can mix and match. And then tools like LLM Router and GenAI Central give developers safe, controlled access to the best AI models on the market. So, all this brings us to the big picture. On one hand, you have a company with this fantastic history of solid, consistent execution. But on the other hand, you have this high-stakes, incredibly ambitious bet on a brand new frontier. So how do we balance these two sides of the Coforge story? Well, let's just break it down into a simple bull versus bear case. The bulls, they're going to point to decades of strong growth, that solid AAA credit rating, and a clear strategy that's targeting the hottest area in tech today. The bears, though, they're going to point to those giant competitors, the stock's poor performance, and the simple fact that executing a really complex AI strategy is incredibly difficult. There's a very real risk it just won't deliver as planned. And that leaves us with the final question. Coforge has proven it's a solid challenger, but they don't want to be just a challenger anymore. They want to be a leader. So is going all in on building their own proprietary AI platforms the master stroke that lets them leapfrog the competition? Or is it a super risky gamble in a field that's already crowded with giants? That's the question that's going to define their next chapter.